This is going to be the start of a demonstration of that. With a KT with Jiwoo still in the lineup, whether they're going to be able to show us that they've managed to solidify this roster and find a little bit of added synergy to bring them over the line.
I think a lot of focus is going to be on Jiwoo and Effort because they are matching into Peyz and Keria, who have been nothing short of spectacular in a lot of the T1 games. So pressure will be on. Now, a lot of time, if you're on second pick, it is just Orianna, Cassio, Vi, other bans. Lee Sin going to be taken away from Oner here.
That's an interesting one. So the Jarvan stock's also going up. But like you were saying, the Vi is basically the must ban.
I think Ryze and Jarvan have been really popular first picks recently in the LCK. But the Nocturne being left open is something they're going to deny. Oner has been spectacular on this pick across his career, so they don't want to give it over to him. Nocturne Nico has kind of been coming back into prevalence, so maybe that gets a look in. But for the time being, T1 definitely have some solid options to match into this. We know Faker very much a fan of the Ryze pick. We'll see if that's prioritized by him here. Olaf also, something we've seen being picked very early in drafts.
Yep. They can also grab the Jarvan as well if they'd like to, but the Yunara Lulu to come out very early here for T1.
Last series when Nocturne was picked, and then it was into Yunara Lulu specifically because you don't want to give over Lulu Nocturne. Can be a bit worrisome. I wonder if KT's game plan here, do you end up picking up the likes of the Nico in the bot lane and getting a pairing for that? It looks like they're just going to slam the Olaf for perfect and pick up the Ryze for BDD.
That's a lot of power.
Awkward for T1. You could only respond to one of these three that have been picked. If you want something like the Jarvan, which is good into Olaf, you have to take it now. If you want something like the Syndra, it's good into Ryze, you have to take it now. Jax, Kled.
Yeah, Talia. There's a bunch of things that you'd like to be playing. I think just locking a jungler makes the most sense and force KT to split the bans between both top and mid lane.
Yeah, I like the Jarvan because it limits all of these mobile picks you can take. We obviously saw in the last series, Seraphine into Jarvan wasn't a good time, and Seraphine would be super high value with his team comp. It also means that Olaf just has a harder time playing the game because obviously Cataclysm, you can only get out of it with a flash. So one of the few pieces of CC that works against him. Now, I do think Nico should be something you think about. I think Seraphine is also something you can think about.
I think with the Jarvan we saw, the Seraphine wasn't able to find the same amount of value.
Yeah, you're right. I feel like with the Jarvan, you're probably not going to go for that. But I think the Nico maybe could be something you don't want to deal with.
And Nautilus going to be taken off the board here. Effort not allowed to play his most played by a country mile.
I think we haven't seen that much Anivia recently into the Ryze. It's kind of just disappeared as a counter, but specifically when there's the Olaf there as well, the wall has a ton of value, so I think it makes sense to ban that one away for KT.
Yep. I think that is more of a ban for the Olaf, is what it feels like to me. But that does open the door for Doran to play a whole bunch of different things into this Olaf in the top lane. It's going to be a tough one for them to mitigate based on the one remaining ban that they do have available. Maybe it's just Syndra. Maybe double down on making sure that this Ryze is as comfortable as possible. But we shall see. The Karma is taken away from Effort, so not going to be allowed to play that one. That Nico's still up and available if they want it.
No Ezreal Karma as a possibility, so getting rid of that as an option. There's still the Caitlyn available, which is pretty strong.
Yep.
We have seen Jhin priority fall off a little bit, but Jhin is playable here as well. I'm sorry to say, Max.
I disagree.
It is the Syndra ban, so taking away some of the tools available into the Ryze. That Talia you mentioned before is still an option.
And the Jax is what they're going to go for first.
Yeah, I feel like Talia, though, when Olaf's in the game, feels bad, so maybe they'll forego it for that reason. But Jax comes through for Doran.
It's been one of his best picks as well. He's one of the greatest teamfight Jax players that we have here in the LCK.
Yep, so many massive plays made by him in the past. Interesting that they end up going for this Olaf and not protecting it with the bans. They pick up the Ezreal. They go on Ezreal Seraphine, which we've seen kind of come through when a lot of the like the bards and the Karmas are taken away as a popular pairing. Obviously, that ult on top of the rest of the team fight pretty strong. And now what is Faker going to take here into the Ryze? But a lot of dive threat as well in this composition.
Yeah, I think he has a lot of different options. Of course, Faker has played basically everything under the sun, but the Ahri is what he's going to lock in here.
We've seen Ahri priority rising a little bit. Last series as well. Obviously, a lot of momentum available to it, a lot of pick potential, but just the safety it brings on this pick. Hard to catch it out. And when you're into a Nocturne, Makes a lot of sense there.
Yeah. So I think T1 probably coming out very happy with what this draft looks like. It's in fact so similar to what we saw out of B&K FureX in their final game of the last series. But it is going to be accelerated to game number 1 this time around. Perfect on the Olaf, though, is going to be scary if this Jax cannot hold him down. And we know Nocturne's power is very, very high. Plus the map mobility of this Ryze with the Realm Warp is going to be a huge deal. I think the KT certainly have some power in this draft, but the cohesion for T1 and the team fighting that they are going to be capable of with this roster, not to mention the fact that Peyz is playing a hyper carry, and that is always a recipe for disaster for all of T1's opposition.
Dangerous to deal with, and you know, a lot of the tools to shut him down, things like the Room Prison or the Encore, there's going to come a point in the game where there's a probably a cleanse and a Mikhail's available to him.
Yep.
Going to make him hard to deal with. I think a lot of this game is going to rest on the momentum, especially when we look at the top lane matchup, which has been very much a feast or famine situation.
Exactly. We'll see whether Perfect can play out this Olaf in the way that he's supposed to and get themselves an advantage. Let's get into the Rift. Game 1 of the Telecom War.
미니언들이 생성되었습니다.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. Onto the Rift for game number 1. It is Telecom War time between T1 and KT. One thing I do want to say is that Jiwoo did manage to get his best pick so far on his time with KT. His Ezreal has definitely been his best performing champion. So that is good news for KT. This might be bad news, as Cuzz is going to have his blue buff likely stolen away.
Yeah, nice little pickup here for Oner, if he can get this and get out, which should be possible. Pulling it down here. Still to smite and get it before Cuzz even sees it.
Yeah, Cuzz is now going to be making his way over, but Oner is already on his way out. So Cuzz will get that bad news straight over to the Gromp, and was spotted on that ward as well. So extra information here for Oner and T1. Great start in the jungle. And speaking of great starts, this bottom lane not going very well at all, as Effort just gets his health bar halved.
Yeah, I love the aggression from Peyz and Keria using their movement speed of the heal when Peyz has a passive stack just to step up and get some good damage down. There's a lot of poke from the Ezreal Seraphine, but the all-in, the sustained damage is really there for the Yunara.
Oh, look at this salvo here. At least Jiwoo manages to hit one of those Mystic shots.
One thing is
real bad.
The cleanse from Peyz, which is super high value this game, but it does mean, even though the health bar is a little bit higher for him compared to Jiwoo, has to respect that barrier potential that can come through.
Well, it might be talking about that right away, as surround sound here from Effort will be able to keep Jiwoo's barrier up and available. T1 with control of the wave though right now. Going to be sending it over towards KT, so pretty volatile at the moment. The Keria just focusing on the wave, glitter lancing all the way through, and they're just going to continue this pressure as much as possible.
Just because they have access to the wave constantly, they're the ones who control the pace of the lane. Peyz permanently has this passive stacked up, which makes it so hard to trade into him in any extended way. I mean, Lulu also just very good at trading if she can get in range to auto.
Yeah, at least KT have managed to soften up this Yunara somewhat.
Effort now out of mana, used it there to stop the recall, so I think T1 will stay for one more wave.
Olaf being very loud towards his top side, as Doran's going to get exhausted. Kind of hoping that he has his Counter-Strike back up pretty quickly. He is finally going to be there.
I think honestly Doran feels pretty okay about that, burning the exhaust for nothing, but now this gang's going to come in. It looks like they're not going to look for it under the tower. Yeah, you get the exhaust from the Olaf, you still have that ignite. Perfect kind of has to back away now and reset, because he was kind of close to that threshold where an ignite would just do him in.
Well, does at least manage to get the wave crash, and will be able to go back for a bit of a buy without too many repercussions to come on through. Doran underneath that turret does clear out that wave, and so he's going to make it as hard as possible for Perfect to stay even. But Oner is going to get pushed out of the river here towards his bottom side. This Rift Scuttler will be claimed by Cuzz, and that is a double scuttle to go over to KT. It's good news for them.
Especially if your goal is just getting Cuzz as close to level 6 as possible, losing that early camp, the early blue buff doesn't feel great. Able to catch up now and even get a little bit ahead.
And one thing I do want to draw everyone's attention to as well is that KT have been quite good at game ones. over the last few series have come out of the gates swinging. It has led to sometimes some disappointing losses for the team. But this is often where they will do their winning, is straight out of the gate. See whether that is going to remain true, as here in this early game, not too many mishaps just yet. What are we aiming for to beat the latest First Blood of all time? 38 minutes? I think it's 38 minutes and 35 seconds or something like that. 34 minutes. No,
38 minutes and 59 seconds.
There we go. All right, so let's put that one on the clock. Maybe we'll just say 39 minutes. We'll say 39 minutes is the one to beat. It's perfect. It's going to flash out of the way of Doran's Counter-Strike. The Ignite was used. Still Doran with a big Summoner Spell advantage here on this Jax.
And the fact that Oner is not too far away from level 6, the fact that the Flash is not going to be up and available for the Olaf puts him in a precarious position. That Cataclysm, very powerful. Perfect is low and has Cuzz hovering around, but Cuzz isn't level 6 yet.
All right.
Like the best scenario for a Nocturne to be making a gank.
Yeah, especially with the Jarvan in the area. Now we've got Peyz and Keria moving back towards this lane. Jiwoo in a pretty good spot with some free time with this lane, but still has to really respect what Peyz and Keria are capable of on these two champions. Peyz is going to step up the beat drop just to try and stop him from continuing forward. But you can see the way that KT are thinking about this lane. Peyz is just always moving forward, so Effort is always aiming skill shots as if he's just going to be parading and like running Jiwoo down here in this lane.
Yeah, his positioning's been so aggressive. And, I mean, there he took a bit of damage, but he was dodging away from a lot of skill shots prior to that. And this is just such a heavy skill shot-based lane for the Ezreal Seraphine. And just walk at them and auto-attack for T1's bot lane.
Yep. It's working out quite nicely now, as you can see, about a 9 CS advantage. Jiwoo is going to be making his way back with a Sheen.
Base Dragon's Ocean as well, so a pretty valuable one, since you're not getting the soul, and that early sustain can go a long way.
Yep.
And we see a good amount of vision set up by T1 in the area in the river. Level 6 close for both junglers, and that Scuttle is up and available as something they can play for to get that.
Oh, Oner actually hits level 6 now off his Raptor camp, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so, and Cuzz will actually, I think, get it off this Grom. So both junglers have level 6, both junglers next to the bot lane. I think they have a bit of a game plan for what they're going to do here.
I'd agree. T1 with so much vision around this Drake, though. It's kind of crazy. Slurkle dodged here nicely by Cuzz. Dustbringer actually for a bit of somewhat meaningful poke towards Keria. He's only level 5, wanting to get that wild growth, but still quite a ways away from grabbing that one. Jiwoo does hit level 6, meaning that the Effort is even further behind as far as experience than Keria is.
Game has felt very tense so far. Both teams not really finding any big headway, but I feel like it's probably just going to explode on the back of the first big fight when things like the Paranoia are used. Mid's been pretty quiet so far.
I think it's a really interesting one, though, because the scaling conversation feels like both teams just want this game to go late. T1 especially, right? It's a front-to-back composition where Doran can go for flanks and 4-1s as BDD will be able to throw down the Ghost here. The Charm somehow misses. Spirit Rush comes in, and Faker is going to make his way out. I don't know how that Charm missed. Yeah. I want a redo.
This does mean a lot of pressure afforded for KT. Sending Faker back, and now he has no ult, means they can move over towards those grubs. Faker doesn't really want to fight around those when there's so many more tools available for KT right now.
Oh, perfect. Actually finding a really good trade here against Doran. The exhaust doing a bunch of work as there's the Realm Warp gets interrupted. The flash not available here for Perfect, so he can't find his way in. Paranoia comes down though, and there is First Blood. Good charm this time from Faker, but even the True Shot Barrage is going to almost kill Doran, but it did do a fair bit of work there towards Faker at the same time. And KT biting off a huge amount here. They'll also get the grubs on top of a pretty noticeable 800 gold lead.
Yeah, Oner sacrifices himself to save his top laner, but it doesn't save him from this awkward position he's in right now. So low in HP, I think he just has to leave.
Yeah, a couple more undertows and he would be dead. So Counter-Strike not going to be helping him out on that one. And so Perfect moving back into a great position here in this lane. 4 CS up, but he was trailing in this lane, and it looked like Doran had all the pressure.
Yeah, the summon advantage was there for Doran. had to flash away from that situation. Perfect didn't even have his to follow. And honestly, Cuzz maybe could have just paranoid into Doran and finished him off, but goes for Oner instead, gets his flash and takes him down. Big reward on the back of that play.
Well, now you got Jiwoo holding a wave towards the bottom side as well, but let's check out this play one more time.
I mean, I think you just look at how utterly dead Doran is if this Realm Ward comes through.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, the Ahri is there, but doesn't offer a ton of backup without the ultimate. The fear comes through, and Oner is just doomed.
Not a whole lot he can do about that one. And so KT, I feel like this has so many flow-on effects, right? Because BDD now has an assist. It was his lane opponent that had to turn up without ultimate in order to try and fight that one back. So it's not like Faker was getting any advantages while that was all going on. And Cuzz is on a Nocturne where that first kill went over to him. Doran actually finding a great angle towards Perfect here, though. Ragnarok not actually used.
Yeah, notably, Doran committed the ult. Perfect didn't, he held it. So Doran may have a bit of pressure there, but you do not want to hang around when you have the ult disadvantage. Dangerous position to be in now. Okay, Oner does put the control ward down first. I thought he was just going to blast going straight over. There's a Jarvan, we'll be able to get out, but Cuzz, going to be a smite fight for this.
Yeah, there's a Cataclysm from Oner. Gets himself straight out the back. That is going to be the steal to come through. The Encore, not exactly the best. The Wild Growth, not going to be enough to save this Jarvan. And down will go the Nocturne as well, so 1-for-1 in the fight. And there is the kill for Peyz. Jiwoo has to get himself out of here, but I don't think he's out of the woods just yet. As Faker trying to get over that wall, not going to be able to do so, decides not to use the flash. And now Jiwoo taking matters into his own hands. And they are immediately taken out of them as Peyz puts him down.
Dragon secured for T1 and the fight afterwards. Gold in the right places. 2 kills for Peyz, 1 for Faker. And just a great cleanup in the aftermath. I think too much of KT's focus was onto Oner, and he did his job. You know, he got the, Doran's in trouble.
Oh, there's the flash over. As Doran, is he going to go over and over once again? He is not. He is just going to die. BDD is going to be gifted this kill. As, yes, fishing in the barrel, and third one's the charm there, as the Ryze is going to be able to take down this Jax, and Perfect now might be able to grab some plates, but instead deciding to go back home. Oner is here.
I mean, it's technically not a solo kill, but that's only because Perfect is very generous.
Yes.
Doran didn't have his ultimate available, didn't have flash, and just gets run down by Perfect. This is not the first time we've seen one of these Olaf counters fail, but not a good feeling for T1. But this fight was phenomenal for them. Oner goes in and they try and hold the health of the Dragon. He gets his big combo, and they commit so much onto him. This Encore, the redirect actually doesn't come through, but even if it did, it's only onto the Jarvan. They kill the Nocturne, start getting the resets. They go for effort to squish his target to continue that momentum, and eventually it's Jiwoo against 3. Faker doesn't land his dash over the wall, but it just really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then this ensuing play, Jiwoo actually tries to make the hero 1-for-1 with the barrier, but Keria just kites him.
Yep, and isn't able to hit a couple of the skill shots there, and therefore Keria is going to survive. This was cute though, with Perfect making sure that the Ryze is able to pick up that kill.
Yeah. Both of these champions get so much stats, so much power from their ultimates, because it's not just a CC immunity for the Olaf, you get a lot of AD as well.
Yep.
That when one of them has the ult advantage, you can see the difference so easily. And now Perfect is, I mean, Doran's about to hit level 10, but that's an entire level above Doran.
And that's because Oner had to come over and take that wave down, so Oner is ahead by a little bit. As we can see here, he's closer to level 10 than Cuzz, but even that difference is not that high. It's, oh god, yeah, Paranoia is up and available. There's a teleport preemptively here from Faker to understand that, yeah, Doran was gonna die.
Oh yeah, and we'll save his top laner, but I mean, earlier we had Oner bailing him out. This time it's Faker. Doran is struggling right now in this top lane. Now, speaking of struggling, Jiwoo will just be able to walk this one off, but allowing this Yunara to have free access to the tower does not feel fantastic.
Well, Oner is going to take a bit of damage here as Jiwoo just arcane shifts back towards his wave. At least he can get here to actually farm things out.
I think it's so easy to avoid fighting when you see someone and having that in mind, but I think T1 doing a pretty good job there of sensing the fact that Cuzz could be there any second and not overcommitting as a result.
Yep.
I think you always have to have that in mind when you're playing against a Nocturne. It's very easy just to forget, and then suddenly everything turns dark and you just have regret.
Yeah, you just you do have to just respect the fact that Paranoia can be pressed at any time. And Doran, I mean, even though he fell behind here in this lane, he's Doran, right? He won't let that get to him, and he will probably still be pretty effective as this game goes on. We've seen it many, many times. Some people are frustrated by it, others are used to it.
I mean, that's the thing, is this game is not the most fantastic Olaf game, if we're being honest. We've had a lot of games where Olaf has ran the LCK, where the options to try and deal with him are very limited because you had a ton of CC, and that he just ignores it, and then you have a Jhin who can't kill him. But there's a good amount of sustained DPS in this composition, and everyone, for the most part, is quite mobile. And if you lose target access as the Olaf, remember, he doesn't have Ghost. Suddenly, you just have your ult time out, and you're kind of a sitting duck.
Or a sitting Viking.
Yeah. So I think it's one of these things where PFX being ahead is great, but it's not the guaranteed slam dunk that we've had in other games with Olaf.
Well, Jiwoo also not finding too many of these Mystic shots. True Shot Barrage is just barely going to go through the posts. Finally does manage to land one, and with this Trinity Force, they are actually hurting. There's Faker and BDD facing off here in this top lane, and Oner is already on this Rift Herald. Looks like KT are not actually in a position to fight for this, unless they're going to be moving over pretty late. They're not going to be able to get that control ward down. They get the bad news that this one's already been started, and Faker now looks for the angle, doesn't find the charm. There's the Paranoia, the secure on the Herald does go over to Oner. He gets feared, but there's the Wild Growth to keep him alive. BDD trying to get out of there with the Realm Warp, but he will be able to escape, but they've lost their jungler and they lost the fight. Jiwoo now in trouble as well, as in goes Doran.
Well, the shield's there from Effort. Will keep Jiwoo alive. Doran trying to make the play with the Summoners to burst out the enemy carry.
That was a jump scare, though, from this Jax.
Yeah, I will say Jiwoo still had barriers, so maybe a little ambitious. End result, though, we do see the Herald picked up by T1. So as this plays out, Oner gets quite low. They dodge away the initial CC from the Ahri.
That's the one.
But the redirect from Effort, he kind of did this earlier as well. It looked like he wanted to redirect on Oner, but it already fired out. So he hit Peyz, who just cleanses it, and then Oner didn't die as a result. I think, because obviously we've seen the ult flash where it redirects the position, catches him off guard, but there he just hit Peyz, who instantly cleansed. And it didn't really amount to much. I feel like if you're committing the flash in these situations, I mean, you can do that sort of combo to catch like Peyz off guard. There is that logic behind it. But when he has cleanse available, it doesn't really amount to much.
No, and especially Peyz, his cleanse timings have been pretty good, just in general.
But I feel like it's once again a situation where KT expend pretty much everything just to try and kill the Jarvan. And Oner had already secured the Herald. Quite frankly, his job in the fight was mostly done.
Yeah.
And if you commit everything to kill him, it's just free reign for T1.
Now we do have Paranoia back up again for KT, so they could theoretically fight for this dragon, but T1 have a lot of control of the area.
Neither top laner has TP, and right now Perfect's proxying, so seems more interested in that than being here for a fight.
Yeah, Peyz going to be just running towards this Ezreal momentarily. Now we do have the Olaf coming over.
Yeah, way faster than Doran, actually. So this might be enough for KT to get...
Wait a second. He's going to get spotted on this control ward. I don't know what he's supposed to do about this one. The Slurkle comes in, has to use the ultimate. That means the Olaf is useless.
You're fine with that, though, because in the meantime, KT picked up the dragon. So
there you go.
You kind of pull them away from it.
And it's a Chemtech Soul.
My bad, I was focused on the Olaf.
Makes sense.
I do think there's a couple of champions here who get a good amount of value from it.
I mean, honestly, Olaf is probably the best user of Chemtech outside of Mundo.
Or Aatrox.
Or Aatrox. Aatrox is pretty ridiculous as well. Zahan is another one. But it's perfect playing Olaf, which I feel is just Zahan and Olaf mixed together.
So, yeah, so Perfect doesn't have ult, but does have flash, so not sure there's a ton they can do to catch him out here.
Well, they're going to give it a crack. Let's see what they can actually get done here. There's the flash. Paranoia does come on through from Cuzz. Does have the spell shield, but he's inside the Cataclysm. He has to flash as well. There's a teleport in from Faker on top of the flag. All 5 members of T1 are here in this top lane.
So we'll see BDD and Jiwoo pushing in the other lanes, but 2 flashes burn for T1 feels pretty nice, and they'll move down, try and cover, but that mid-tier one, is it going to go down?
Oh, not quite.
Not quite, but some good damage done.
3 grubs here for KT, being put to work by both Jiwoo and BDD.
Look at the items, though, between the AD carries. Runan's picked up for Peyz, which, reminder on this patch, did get a buff.
Yep. That's all right. There goes Faker, finds the charm onto Effort, and down he goes. Cuzz is going to be the double kill for Peyz. And Peyz does take a bit of damage here, as I think he was actually tanking up the turret. Jiwoo going to keep himself alive, but the Rift Herald gets a headache. And T1 now moved to the first notable gold lead in this game.
It's funny that we had a game in the last series where it was Seraphine into Ahri, and it just felt like that fodder that you can just one-shot for a reset.
Yeah.
Good driving from Oner there to connect the Herald. But yeah, 3 pickings for Faker. 2 kills picked up in the mid lane, mid tower down, bot tower going to follow. Jax hit the tower is exactly what Doran wants to be doing.
Feels so satisfying. Let's have a look at this again.
Just didn't have the defensive vision, didn't have the ward over the wall. Effort gets completely exploded. And then only because Jiwoo is playing specifically Ezreal is he able to escape here.
And Faker is now just moving around the rift, looking for the next option. And will be able to head towards his top side to answer this Olaf. Looks like Perfect wants nothing to do with this. No flash, no exhaust. And does have the Ragnarok back again, but I don't think that's going to be enough to allow him to fight against Faker, who is very, very strong.
I mean, one thing with the Malignance plus the upgraded Soul Shoes, it wasn't a massive buff, but they did make it. It now has 20 flat pen. And you get the Magic Resist Shred from the Malignance. It's just a lot of damage on that early spike between those two.
That's a good one.
The mid laners. And seeing that demonstrate on a squishy level 8 support doesn't feel too fair.
Yeah, another thing that's not too fair is the fact that at 20 minutes, BDD has 137 farm. Sorry, 237 farm.
I'd say 137 farm.
That wouldn't be very much.
Yeah.
But 237 is quite a lot, as he's hit his 2 items as well. Wants to get towards Actualizer, and this is a composition that is going to be very happy doing damage later on in the game. Ezreal scales pretty nicely.
Oh, BDD is actually about to hit level 16 as well. He's level 15 already, and the row is at 9 stacks.
Yeah, he's a monster.
BDD is, as you said, a monster. Extremely strong. In fact, he's already like a full level up on Faker, like a level and some change, before the Rod of Ages kicks in.
That's kind of insanity. Going to get a lot of value out of that one as well. You can see if it does actually connect. Here's the Paranoia as well. Onto the Jax, the Realm Warp just to get over the wall, and BDD, he doesn't go into it. He's just going to execute. Doran says good night, and is now going to continue pushing here in this bottom lane. Who answers this Ryze?
I'm not sure, honestly, and the fact that they could go for that play in T1, not in position, not confident to set up the Baron, feels pretty bad for them. It is also the Huni Baron. Of course it is, so they're going to start it now. Cuzz doesn't have flash, doesn't have ult, and he's only just now recalling.
Owie.
But they get spotted by the 2-shot barrage. That's enough to force them away. Peyz wasn't actually hitting the Baron yet, so
yeah, I
think get any assistance from him.
When it's Huni Baron as well, I do think that as soon as you're spotted, get out. Do not risk that, as the health bars can be low. Yeah, okay.
Oner doesn't know!
Oh no! He doesn't even know that he's just here!
Oh, it was right there!
Oh, that's so sad. Mega Cone gets BDD to relative safety. Oops. There was a Lulu in the area, and in fact, Keria was kind of surrounded, but is able to just go back home.
You know, I think as much as Oner, it would have been nice to get his red buff. I think face-checking the Ryze, probably not good for your health.
I mean, if I was Oner, though, I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, that's probably Ryze stealing my red, you know?
BDD just picked up Actualizer, and he's about to hit level 17.
Uh-huh.
He's going to hit 17 before Faker hits 15.
He's a big boy.
Yeah, large and in charge.
And very blue.
So even though T1 have had some good positive plays through this mid-game, BDD is a major threat.
Oh no, they're going to let BDD play with his new toy as well. Possible fight to start off here as Faker looking for that flank angle.
4 levels up on Peyz.
Yeah, what has BDD been doing?
What have they been feeding him?
Yeah, hyperbolic time chamber BDD. Okay, well, now they're going to try and blow off Faker. That's a great charm this time. And down goes the Ahri. No Cataclysm for you, Oner. He's just dead immediately. And yeah, that's the actual fight there from BDD.
They don't manage to kill Jiwoo, but even if they did, I just don't think it would matter. BDD just demolishes them. So much damage available. He's so bulky now.
Yeah, it's
3,400 health. I think he actually has the most health in the game right now.
I would not contest that. And he also has the Seraph shield on top of it.
The Huni Baron does a ton of damage to KT there immediately, but it just doesn't matter because no one's coming to contest it.
Yeah, not a chance.
You can see it's actually shredded them, which just kind of shows important to make sure you have control of the... Oh, Doran.
Okay, top laners get more experience from doing their quests. Daniel,
Yeah.
what is happening? Why is he 3 levels above Doran? I know it's Rod of Ages, but that's only 1 level.
BDD really showing why the Ryze priority's been rising up. We see Jiwoo doesn't get over the wall, but the flash is pretty great. But this Encore, perfect onto Faker and Peyz. Peyz will just cleanse, but it does catch out the mid laner of T1.
It's really good that Effort realized that he can use Encore without flashing.
Yeah.
Because that one was fantastic.
That one was phenomenal. I think maybe overthinking some of the earlier ones.
Yeah, I have a feeling that maybe he was like, oh, I just really want to be in that mad movie. And I've seen these Seraphine guys, and they keep doing the ult flash, and it works great.
Sometimes you're too set on getting like the mega play and hitting like so many people that you kind of miss the forest for the trees, and it's just better just to get the right targets.
Yep, just aim it well, and you're probably going to be fine. And that's exactly what happened here for KT. But it's a 2,000 gold lead now for just the Ryze. And as soon as he gets an arm guard, I just don't know what T1 is supposed to do about it. Maybe fight everywhere the Ryze isn't is going to be the play. But they now have a Baron, and they're going to be taking down this inner turret. That one's going to be a pretty comfortable one. Only a couple of plates in the bottom lane as well as Cuzz slows down Oner here, that stride breaker. And Oner was singing the song, you know, ain't nobody going to break my stride, but they broke it anyway.
I'm going to say it.
What?
Isn't it crazy that people weren't building Actualizer Third on Ryze?
Yes.
Isn't it just absolutely insane?
Do you know what's going to happen? Like, Saturday's going to roll around and Chovy's going to play Ryze, and he will build Dash Cannon instead.
I think even he's given up on it. I think they've just realized that
I hope so.
the item that scales with your mana is pretty good on Ryze.
Yeah.
That's, I know, it's shocking, but I'm glad we got there in the end. We figured it out.
Oh, BDD going to be respecting Faker
I
quite a lot here in
actually
the
do have
mid
some
lane.
good news. So
yeah.
BDD is about to hit level 18. He can't level up anymore after
Oh, that's true. Won't have even more of an advantage.
Yeah, there we go. So he's capped out in terms of levels. I think what just feels so unfair about this matchup is just look at BDD's health bar compared to Faker. And bear in mind he has a Sarah shield as well. I mean, and Ahri is a burst mage.
Yeah. I mean, look at BDD's health bar compared to anyone. He's absurdly strong. Okay, KT going to be able to use the last remaining seconds of this Baron to knock down this bottom outer turret. Baron power play looking pretty good. And we've been talking about the fact that BDD's massive, KT are in such a good spot. 3.5k gold is not enough to make you feel comfortable if you are KT and you're staring down the barrel of Peyz playing Yunara.
It has been the bot lane for T1 often the big factors in their...
wait. He missed one Q, and therefore Faker lives.
He doesn't have Actualizer.
Oh my lord.
He didn't have cool. It's not up for a while. Didn't have Actualizer. Faker was just dead if he has that item.
Yeah. Did he miss? I thought he missed one Q.
Yeah, I think he might have as well. But like, I mean,
if he didn't do that, he didn't even need Actualizer, and he's still just dead.
True.
My lord.
Use just in, Ryze does a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Irrespective of the Actualizer.
Yeah. Just actually does more damage, even if it's not actually.
I remember because, you know, Actualizer was based on like the Arena ARAM Mayhem augment, the one that like increased, it's called Overflow. Because Overflow was in the game before Actualizer was. And every game that a Ryze got that was just over. Every single game.
And they were like, let's just bring it in so you can buy it all the time.
Let's just put it in League of Legends. Why not? And you know what? It's kind of the same is true here.
Well, this is going to be problematic as now we've got fights on multiple fronts. Perfect kind of got confused about where he wanted to be. And Oner is going to jump on top of Jiwoo and then get himself out. That was a very cute play. Still going to need to do some more fancy footwork to get himself out of this one.
Problem is he's still dead, but this is just stalling his death.
It is. Oh, trading places! That was so cute. I don't remember the movie, though. Did you watch Trading Places?
No. I did see Ergot when he was in the early iterations of the game. That was kind of like his ultimate.
Isn't that hyperkinetic position reverser?
Yeah.
Okay.
That is what they did. But it was actually honestly a bit more hyper than the original LoL, which was like...
What if Trading Places, the movie, was actually called hyperkinetic position reverser? Do you think more people would have seen it?
Probably a different crowd.
Probably. If you played it at Games Workshop, I'm sure they'd like that that name better. This feels like, you know, if you were playing Chaos Marines or something like that. Okay, Cuzz is going to be taking a soul point here for KT. And you might be saying, you know, you're poo-pooing the Chemtech Soul, but with this composition, you're feeling pretty great about a Chemtech Soul, to be honest.
Peyz does have 4 items.
Okay.
And when you're looking for a main character, it's often been Peyz. It still is Peyz. But a lot of threats on the other side. And we've seen that Ryze has this magical ability just to make champions disappear. So against pretty massive odds right now, but we do have the Cleanse plus Mikhails available for the Yunara. It just comes to setting up this pick to get the damage down.
Oh, speaking of picks, that is going to be the Ragnarok used here by Perfect. Doran just trying to stay in range. Paranoia makes things dark.
It's actually a really heads-up Paranoia from Cuzz. He's nowhere near. He's not even in range, but he just presses the button and T1 immediately pull back.
But 7 seconds on the Baron. They have to get over there, and KT are not in position for this whatsoever.
Whoa!
Oh my god, BDD, the damage, the flash forward, the Realm Warp to deny Faker. He can get over the wall once again, and BDD is not going to follow. But now, without the Ryze here, this is way better for T1 because he's so incredibly powerful. The Encore is decent though from effort. Oner gets the Wild Growth yet again. Cuzz gets into the backline. Perfect's on top of Doran. And now BDD shows up. And oh my god, he is actualizing everywhere. Jiwoo goes down, but KT, I mean, up until recently, he wasn't even a member of the team. They'll just walk up the mid lane now and look to try and finish this game.
It looked like the theory was there. You know, Faker could TP in, BDD used his Realm Warp, couldn't get there in time, but he just ran his way over to finish up the fight. Peyz trying to do everything in his power to turn the fight around, but it's just not quite enough. Faker and Keria need to try and clear the wave out. They're going to keep this game going, but it's such a hard ask.
It really is. With no Baron, it's a little bit more possible, so they will be able to at least stop this push, but...
Okay, they play it safe.
Yeah, inhibitor goes down. Let's have a look at this team fight again.
So, really actually has nothing when he's coming over. We have Path on the Ghost. So he just Ghost to run over. In this fight, Doran starts to get focused down. The ult, the Encore is pretty good, but this disruption, the Cataclysm into the Wild Growth is massive, and then BDD arrives and just starts laying out the damage. He's too tanky to cut through. Peyz goes for Jiwoo instead, which he does take down. But there's just so many relevant threats you have to eliminate as this Yunara, and just not enough time.
And BDD just built a hat.
Oh, wow.
And you might say, you know, Ryze is a mage, and you were saying that he was doing magic tricks, he was a magician. He can certainly be that now. He's a wizard as well.
Wait, he has over double Faker's AP, by the way.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
He has over double his AP, and...
What does he have, like 700?
And he scales his mana too, and he has like 6,500 mana. He has over 600 AP.
Uh-huh.
A little bit mega extremely super strong.
Okay. We're going to say not balanced. Also has like 4,000 HP. That's fine. T1 are just on the Baron. And there is a Cuzz in the area. They're going to look for a turn. Teleport brings Doran over. True Shot Barrage does so much damage. My goodness, Huni, what are you doing? This is your former teammate right over there that you're doing a lot of damage to. Obviously, I'm referring to the Baron. As Cuzz, Mega Cone angle is right here. Jiwoo, but Arcane Shift out of the way, but effort not so lucky. However, he stays alive for so long. They go 1-for-1. There is the Zhonya's from Doran. Down goes the Olaf. And now BDD dives forward. They manage to get him down. And it's Jiwoo and Cuzz against the world. Peyz trying to get the damage down. And he should be able to chase after them. Okay, Jiwoo. I see you now. Arcane Shift forward. Wild Growth has to be used to keep Peyz alive. The base, by the way, is taking a lot of damage, so T1 have to go back.
Such a tense fight from T1. They managed to take down BDD. This raid boss, we thought that was unstoppable. And we'll see the ensuing fight. So they go for this Mega Cone engage, the engage cone, and get straight onto effort. But unfortunately, effort survives just the slightest bit too long because he manages to get the Encore off, and it connects on the 2 targets, which gives a lot more momentum to KT. This ensuing fight, this stun into charm from Faker. There was still a Seekers there, by the way, for BDD, but the CC layering meant he didn't get to use it. This raid boss goes down, but they're just not able to find more.
This cleanse was just absurd. He came out like, what the heck? Even from his perspective, I don't see how he figured out that he was supposed to press it right then. Okay, that was pretty ridiculous.
the Mikhail.
Captain Jack maybe needs to be Peyz.
It was the Mikhail's because he still has the...
Oh, wait, it was.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Keria, you're just a god. I think Keria probably should be Hall of Legends number 4. I think that's almost a guarantee. Don't you think that'd be the best? That'd be the best option. I think most people understand and agree. Okay, KT now looking for their soul. But the dragon soul, not their soul. They're humans, they've got souls, it's fine.
A lot of bulky targets on KT. If they get this, it's going to make it harder to take out. Oner's going to go for the jump over the wall. And Peyz has
they can
J
see
now.
it. They can see it. They know what's happening here. The rest of T1 will jump on over. Doran gets in there. There's the paranoia as Oner right into the backline, but he just explodes him. Cuzz dives in, secures the dragon, and now BDD with this soul is going to go golden first. Jiwoo now able to take down Peyz to his GA. I don't know where Doran just went. I don't know what all these numbers are looking like, and Keria is just left alone. It's a triple here for Jiwoo. KT secure the soul and now secure the game.
T1 Megacone in, ready for the fight, but they are not ready for BDD. The damage he is dishing out in this fight just decimates T1. They'll get the soul, but they're not going to have much of a chance to use it as they look to end the game. Taking us to game 2 and trying to keep their hopes alive of staying out of play-ins.
And I don't know, man. BDD hitting form like this right now is about as this is about as late as you can do it before you're gonna feel okay about KT moving towards the playoffs, but it is better late than never. My God, this man. And I don't care what happens. If T1 win this series and somehow